Welcome back to another episode of Board Talk. I've got my friend, Otherside expert, Otherside pro guide. He's going to take you all over the world that you guys building with daily videos, conversation, and great questions across the timeline. Justin, how are you this fantastic afternoon?
Thank you for the intro. Doing incredible this weekend. Very excited to be on BMG for today. Very excited.
Oh, definitely appreciate you coming through. Obviously, maybe not obviously for the people watching, but and listening, we have known each other for a while. We've talked a lot in the DMs. We've had conversation and we've had calls, and it's always focused about NFTs and crypto. No surprise as you are on an NFT show, but I just want to, let the people know, how did you get into crypto? Where was your start? And then what brought you into the NFT Wild West is what I'll call it.
Oh man, that's a good question. I think I got started in crypto back in 2020. Everybody was out from the pandemic and we all got this excess time sitting in our basements just, fiddling with our thumbs. Oh man, what do I do with my time? So, hey, I looked at Ethereum. I saw all the great stuff that was being built. It was like, I think it was like the depths of the bear too. So it felt very similar to what it is like right now. And I just saw a lot of development and I just kind of identified, Bitcoin, ICOs, and then we got DeFi coming up, and then last cycle was the DeFi cycle. So this cycle, I was like, okay, layer upon layer. Like it seems logical that after DeFi, we get gamified metaverses, digital crypto assets. That just seemed like the logical iteration and step forward. So I was like, okay, what's being built? Like who's gonna take the cake? Who's gonna bake and take the cake moving forward? And I'm big on not overstretching myself. So I was like, okay, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Yuga Labs, seems like they got things in the bag, especially with regards to Otherside. They're building out here and there with their partner projects. And I was like, okay, this is it. It's time to dive in. It's time to get rolling and just kind of explore what's going on. And personally, I think what got me into making videos is I got sick of just like blowing people up with 1,000 DMs in Discord. And I was like, I don't have enough time to do that each time. So I was like, let's just make a video. And then you can take a look at my first couple videos. They're just like, they got no thumbnail. They're just me floundering around, just talking about whatever. And then I was like, oh man, I gotta throw a thumbnail on so that at least they'll watch it. And that just became this big thing where I was like, well, might as well post it on X. I might as well make some threads. And here we are now. And it's been like 3 months later. I'm like, whoa, this is so much. This is actually way crazier than what I initially planned. So I guess here we are.
Here we are, and the craziest part about everything you said is it feels like a full-time job right now, and we're in the shittiest like bear sentiment right now too. So can you imagine when the bull is just like ripping and we're wanting to just do even more? It's like, we've talked about this before, but it's like setting ourselves up for that next cycle so that we're not feeling like we're drowning, because the fact of the matter is you and I both have our normal jobs, our 9 to 5, right? And so it's like, when we're doing these videos, when we're doing these calls, when we're whatever the content is, if we're talking in Discord and Twitter, or sorry, X, that is literally like those little slices of time that we have during a day. And usually for you and I, it's in the middle of the freaking night, because that's when everything is calm and everyone's asleep, and we probably should be too, but we're out grinding a video, we're editing, we're asking questions. And so I think that's a big thing with content creation. I'd love to hear some more takes. Is content something you've always been interested in creating, or was it really truly, like you just said, more of the nature of, man, I want this information and I want to be able to ask these questions, and maybe if I just do video series, I'm going to help myself and naturally connect with a million more people that can probably answer some of these questions for me?
Oh man, yeah, that's a really good question. So back in 2020, when I was doing all the DeFi stuff, I just had a Discord and I was just archiving all the research, and I was like, this is impossible to like sort through. This is like not legible whatsoever for anyone. And I was like, okay, well, I guess the videos just section it out much easier. And once you just drop into the foray, like you just make daily videos. Like again, like you said, I underestimated how long it takes to like produce one video. Like, okay, you can record for 10 minutes and then you sit there after you're done recording and you're just sitting there like, oh my god, I gotta make the thumbnail, I gotta write the thread, and then you feel like SpongeBob on that one episode where you're writing the thread and all you got is and you're like, oh crap. I'm gonna sit here for another couple hours and then I'm just gonna throw my hands up and just throw out what I actually think, and then then it's 2 a.m. But I'm kind of going off into the aether of the topics here, but yeah, like meeting everybody. There's so many more creators than I initially thought. It's very exciting, especially on X or Twitter, whatever we want to call it.
I would
And yeah,
agree, dude. It's like the content creation world, we can go on so many different rabbit holes that we could find ourselves in. And I would agree. One of the biggest things for me, and I come from somewhat of a background of content, working in radio. This has been a long time ago now, but like 13 years ago, working in radio and kind of understanding that, but really not even close to the spec at what we're doing now, where it's like, man, like you said, a video, I thought, wow, that's not too bad. I'll just sit down and like I can edit that in maybe like 30 minutes. That's hilarious. You quickly find that it's going to take about times 5 to 10 times 10 that amount of time. So I guess my next question for you and anyone that wants to create content, right? Because we're talking about building, we're talking about things that we're working on because we think it's beneficial for the community. If someone wants to get into content, like what are some of your successes? What are some of the things that have maybe propelled you into continuing to up the ante, if you will?
oh man, you got to take small steps and you got to do it every day. Like iterations, like so great. You can kind of if you look through my timeline. I kind of keep everything up there. Like when I look at my initial videos, I'm like, oh man, this sounds really bad. Oh man, at that time I just would lay in bed after work and I would get up and I would sit down and I'd start my workflow and I'm like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
So for anyone who wants to start, I mean, just keep in mind, I'm going from 0 to 1, right? I mean, at least
Yep.
there's so much more to gain than to not. I don't really know how to explain it. It's like you meet so many new people, your skills just 10x, especially if you want to do like graphic design or copywriting, communication, essentially, basically. And just getting started is probably the hardest part, and then like,
Dude, I think
doing it every
no,
night.
honestly, and I was setting you up, and you nailed it right away. I set you up for the alley oop because one of my biggest things that I've noticed from you specifically is that I think making it mandatory that you sit your butt down and you do the video every day. I think that's been a huge success for you because it's consistency. Consistency is key. And also what you just said, you always talk about the 10,000 hours. You need to put 10,000 hours into anything to become an expert, whatever an expert is. And obviously, if you're sitting down every single day, and sometimes you're not going to want to do the video. Also, newsflash, there are times that us as content creators, we don't want to sit behind the mic. We don't want to write the thread. We don't want to do the thumbnail because life, right? Like life happened and we had a shitty day, whatever might be happening. There are a million things going on. And so I think one of the biggest tips, and I'm even starting to take away from you, is even just consistency. Even if it's just like, sit down on a mic, record something, even if it's something small, even if it's a 1 or 2 minute thing, that's better than nothing because it's really easy to say, you know what, I'll do that tomorrow. You know what, I'll do that next weekend. And all of a sudden you fast forward and you lost a month of time of creation because you've been talking about, oh, I can kind of kick that down the can. What would be your takeaway from that?
Oh man, there have been so many days where I get off work and I'm like, oh man, I don't know what to talk about because
Right.
personally, I don't know. I don't actually really plan out my content that much. I just sit down and I take a look at I look at my X feed and I'm like, what do I do today? And I just pick from whatever I think is the most interesting and I just read through the news here and there. But with regards to like consistency, I think the only thing that has broken my consistency is like actually getting sick.
Yeah.
I know I had that bit back a couple weeks ago where I had like a whole weekend off, and like, I looked back on it and I was like, oh my god, I missed so much news because crypto moves at the speed of light. So like you miss a day and like 5 years go by. So I definitely get that. So
I think that's actually like if we talk about the other side of the coin, like the struggles or the things that maybe you're still learning, and we're all learning something. But I think the sad reality, and you and I talked about it when you came back from being sick, is like, man, if you miss the timeline, if you miss your little freaking tiny space in that inner web, if you will, dude, people can quickly forget about you, right? It's like you all of a sudden you lose your comments, you lose your retweet, you lose your question in the DM, and it's not instant, but like the sad reality is consistency really is key for your own skills and getting better at all of these things, but also so when the bull happens, you actually do have this audience that knows like, hey, every day I know I can go to Justin, I know I can go to Otherguide and I can get some information. And I can see that it's grown too, grown in popularity, grown in the amount of information he's able to share. All of those things are true. And so I think like the sad reality is one of the struggles, at least for me, is you got to be like freaking consistently just talking and putting yourself on the timeline, and hopefully it's something good and it feels natural, right? I don't want to be the fake person that's like scheduling out 5,000 tweets that are just going to hit across the month. But like, how do you, I don't know, weigh the importance of tweets, the importance of response, reply? You talk about reply guy, and we've seen some people go way off the freaking deep end. And personally, I hate that shit. But how do you weigh, like, how much do I want to be on the timeline?
Oh man, that's a really hard question. Personally, I don't really know X that much. I don't know what gets you railroaded. I don't know what electric rails you can't say or touch or whatever. But with regards to like engagement and trying to grow organically, I would say I try to keep it pretty high quality with regards to the threads that I put out. I know I throw down one every night, especially I throw the video in the first tweet too, and then I kind of just reply to, I guess, whatever I feel is interesting, or people who are in my circles, who are in my For You page or anything like that. Sometimes I'll use the X deck. I just don't, I don't know how I don't know how to integrate that into my workflow yet. Again, it's that balance between like, hey, how often do I want to be posting? Do I want to be posting during work, in the bathroom, or do I just kind of
went to the bathroom for the 10th time today? What the
hell? So yeah, it's like I think I just try to reply in the morning at least, and then I try to just build out my content in the evening, and then throughout the day I just feel like, oh man, maybe I'll post something, maybe I don't, but I don't necessarily know too much on how to optimize the X algorithm. But as regards to YouTube, I think YouTube is a little bit different. I do like to I think posting stuff daily on YouTube is actually really important with regards to the algorithm. It just tends to put you on the keyword searches a lot more, just because I think it prioritizes evergreen type of stuff. I think X is the same way. I think it's like, I don't know. I know YouTube is much longer, and then X is much shorter. I know X is like really short, so you have to post consistently. So that's one of my weaknesses with regards to X. I just like to keep my threads up and just keep things pretty succinct and what people like to see. So I don't know. We'll see how things go.
But again, I think also in the same breath is like, I truly believe, or maybe it's hopium, I don't know, that being that like true self, if you will, and like only posting like things that you actually feel like you want to post. Hopefully at some point people can see that. They can see through the bullshit of some people that just like, I'll go into like the most random, I'm an NBA fan, and I'll look at a article or something, right? Like some post about the Pacers. I'm an Indiana Pacers fan. And I'll see like the top 5-10 comments are all these random NFT people just saying the dumbest shit because they know they can get like the views or the likes and shit. So they're like simping for the timeline on the
that's crazy.
And I'll say, I'm like, if you click on any news article, I swear to God, like the first 5 will be NFT. It might not be people but it's like an NFT PFP. And then you're like, dude, really? Like, this is what we're doing? This is how low we've stooped? And so for me, I've not gone down that track. I'm only going to reply to things I actually want to reply to. And sometimes it is about sports, but I'm going to do it because I have an actual thought, not just if I post this absurdity, I know that I'm going to get 50,000 impressions. And I just, that's the one thing about X that's been a little bit frustrating, but I agree. I think it's like weighing how we spend our time too, right? It's like time is valuable, time is money. And those of us that are creating content, well, most of us, we're making $0. We're making $0 right now. That's just the reality. Or even if we are making some, it's like you're talking minuscule. And so and you and I have talked about this, and Board Media Group, definitely something that we're trying to figure out is how can we help get content creators paid? And that's obviously with partnerships. It's all these different buckets. Obviously, when we can get, hit YouTube more or X, there's that potential as well. But I think that's the biggest struggle with being consistent and having a life and a job that I actually, I have to do actual work for, is time is money. And so, when you have that hour of free time, do you sit in front of the TV and watch the Pacers? Or do I sit my butt right in this chair and try to do some content. I think that'll be like, and always like you're weighing what, I guess what makes the most use of my time. So I don't know if there's a perfect answer there, and I'm right there with you, Justin, is trying to figure out the algo, trying to figure out what do I actually want to do here. But one thing I know that you and I both love is Otherside. We yesterday saw some, not a lot, but some pictures, a little bit of video of a meetup in Germany with the Meebits crew and Otherside folks. And so I guess obviously your handle is literally Otherguide. You're talking about Otherside all the time. What makes you bullish on the other side, and what were your takeaways from yesterday's playtest?
Oh my God. Okay, we're talking about Otherside. I'm so like, oh man, every single time I see like an update from other Otherside Meta or Yuga Labs, I'm like, okay, we got to jump right in, figure out what's going on, because your fingers on the pulse of the game. You're like so invested and like just like amazing.
All of it, yeah, for sure.
So with regards to the Meebits, focus group event, I saw that and I was like, wow, okay. So first of all, we're seeing like 40 of these Voyagers, Meebits, just kind of, they had that focus group with the base with Bored Ape Yacht Club, earlier, and it was just Bored Apes. Now it's Meebits, and I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Very focused. We saw Metropolis, and the first thing that came to mind, I was like, wow, okay, so we're seeing like these multiple test groups build out their worlds inside of Otherside. So I like looking at the graphics. I personally thought, hey, that's definitely what we want to work with. The God rays, the graphics, the lighting, I guess the way that you can hang out. I think a lot of things can be built out with that, just the baseline. I definitely can see people building out different kinds of gaming experiences, hangout hubs. Basically, the sky's the limit. The imagination is the limit with regards to what you can build, and I like to see any type of progress. Very excited. Slow, steady. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. And I'm just I kind of forgot the question, but yeah,
no,
it was good. It was good.
Obviously, we're all amped, and I'm also as amped. I was invited to that play test. I just could not. I could not make that flight to Germany. That would have been, my wife would have probably killed me. My dead body would have floated across. But nonetheless, my biggest question obviously is about Otherside. And so you talk about these play tests, you talk about the graphics, you talk about all the experiences, because it can be gaming, but it can be so much more. What makes you so bullish about Otherside, the platform? Obviously, we're really not that close to 24/7 on. We're really not. And people need to probably maybe realize that. But we can still talk about, what do you see? What makes you so excited about the platform, or the potential of the platform?
The potential. Okay. So first of all, I think Yuga has skin in the game. I think they have the ability to like really take the majority and the mind share with regards to like the partner projects across Cryptos and Rengas, World of Women, Forgotten Runes. They've delegated a lot of passion to other project teams that can appeal to other genres and bring them into Otherside as the singularity, a place to ultimately hang out. And just really know how to describe it really. Like how do you describe Otherside as outside of just culture and hanging out with your friends, and a store of value? Or it's really hard to describe, but like it's like,
maybe that's why we're so bullish on it, though, because it is so hard to describe. Because it could be a hangout, it could be a Twitter space with our avatars while we're playing mini golf on the course that Justin created. It could be an educational space. It could be an art gallery that you're able to share all of this digital work across the world. It could be a meeting space. It could be a guest speaker coming in and talking and telling you about how to make smart contracts. You know what I mean? Like, let's just go down the list and think of all the shit you can do, because now borders are taken down. Us living in North America and talking to people in Europe and talking to people in Australia, freaking everywhere, dude. Like, literally the entire world has become smaller with this metaverse. Now, again, I know that's a buzzword, but I think Otherside has this potential with the partnerships they have, and with it will be a game too. They're going to create an amazing gaming experience. I think they have the potential to do whatever your heart's desire. And I think maybe that's why I'm most excited about it.
I agree. I tend to agree.
Yeah.
I was just going to harken back to like I think Yuga is like pushing their. What I'm really bullish about is like UGC universes. Like a lot of people just have a lot of time on their hands and they're just exploring digital metaverses. Like, let's say a traditional experience like Roblox that's been wildly successful. We see things like Fortnite moving away from like a centralized narrative, centralized gameplay to, hey, let's hand off a lot of the work for what people want. Just empower people to build what they want, get paid. Especially, I know in Roblox they have a particular pay mechanism, but I mean, on the other side, it feels very similar with regards to the way they're positioning the ODK, the way they're basically, I mean, you can have a deed and build anything that you want on it, whether that's a hangout or a game, et cetera, et cetera. So the possibilities are endless. Like I'm really bullish on that. And I think that is probably appealing to a lot of people moving forward. And I think the next generation just kind of inherently understands the value of digital collectibles, assets, games, etc. It's very native, very crypto native.
No, for sure. I think Justin, as the other guide, you're already set up, dude. Can you imagine when all these deeds are built out and you're like this expert on deeds, and you can literally, people can follow you around and be like, all right, and now we're gonna go and explore the whatever, the freaking chemical goo sediment, and this awesome experience that Phil has designed where you get to whatever, play guitars and play golf at the same time. And you'll be that expert of like, taking people around. You think about anytime you go on vacation, anytime you go explore a museum, right? What do you have? Or what do you have the option of having? A guide, right? You have this guide, an expert that can take you around, give you some information, and enhance the experience. I think there's a potential there, obviously, for you, Mr. Otherguide.
Thanks. I don't necessarily know like how things are going to be moving forward with regards to like.
Don't worry, we have a couple of years.
we got a lot of time. Dev takes a long time. The dev cycle will probably take like 3-4 years for
sure.
I don't know. It's a longer time frame, so I definitely agree. Very excited. I don't see how I'm gonna take it. We'll get there when we get there.
Plenty of time to marinate, plenty of time to learn, plenty of time to build, plenty of time to create content. So Justin, man, if somebody wants to come and check out your videos that you're doing daily, where can they find you on YouTube as well as X?
Yo, you can catch me on Otherguide on YouTube and Otherguide Pro on X. I'm sure the links will be in the description, but I post daily videos and daily X threads. So, if you need anything, feel free to hit me up.
Justin is awake at all of the wee hours of the morning. Please feel free to DM him at any time zone. He will respond at some point, maybe not right away. Well, Justin, I just want to say thank you so much for coming through and talking all of the dope things that you're doing, the amazing content that you're creating, and obviously this excitement within Otherside. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Phil. It's been great to be on board Media Group. Excellent.
Thank you.